Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and today we are going to be talking about my January pile of possibilities, or also known as my January TBR. Hello everyone, it is time for the first TBR pile of possibilities for 2024. Do you know how many times I had to say that to say 2024 instead of 2023? A lot. So we are kicking off the year with a somewhat manageable TBR. We shall see how manageable it is by the end of the month, I guess. Primarily, this TBR is going to be focusing on the TBRathon, which is hosted by Leandra over at Leandra, the TBR Zero. So I will have her channel linked down below for you to check that out. I am so excited for this readathon. It is a great way to kick off 2024 for me. I am making it, I don't want to say I'm making it more intense than it's meant to be, but I am kind of focusing on my physical TBR because one of my big goals for 2024 is to reduce this TBR and to keep going. So I have some extra goals that I am going to put in place alongside the readathon, but we're mostly going to talk about my TBR for that and other things throughout the month right now. So I thought that it would be fun to kind of start also possibly introducing a segment where we talk about the results of my previous TBR. So in December, I'm looking at my notes over here so that I don't mess anything up. In December, I put 9 books on my TBR, and so far I have read 7 of the 9. I've completed 7 of the 9. So I'm thrilled with this. I never stick with TBRs. So I'm thrilled about this. And I am hoping to, now that I know this, I'm thinking about trying to squeezing in 1 more of those books. So we'll see if that happens. I'm super pleased with this result anyway. And it probably won't be like this every month, but I am thrilled that it was 7 of 9. And we're going to try to make it 8 of 9 before we get to January. But you all are here for my January TBR, not my December results, so we're going to jump into that now. Like I said, I'm going to be participating in TBRathon, which I am so excited about. This is like, I think this readathon is lining up for exactly what I want to do in January, which is to really focus on my physical TBR. Like I said, my goal is to buy 0 books in January and also to read 50% books that I already own out of my TBR, because usually what happens is that I'll read some of my TBR, but I will also find random things along the way to fulfill a prompt, or just something strikes my fancy, a library hold comes in, etc., etc. So my hope is to read 50% of the books that I read in January to be off my physical TBR. So those are some goals that I'm doing alongside this readathon. Now I'm going to be taking on the trail map, and I'm actually just going to pop that up here so that you can see what I'm talking about. Leandra has created some really cool prompt boards and prompt ideas for this readathon. I've decided to take on the trail map because I think it'll fit my reading the best, but there are so many, and I might do a couple of these in the coming months because that has been mentioned in the Discord a few times, and that sounds like a lot of fun. So anyway, let's jump into the actual TBR. So my first prompt for the map has to do with cryptids, so I've decided to pick up Discount Armageddon by Shauna McGuire. This is an encrypted novel. This series follows a family of cryptid hunters, and I am really excited to try this. I recently tried the first chapter of this in my tried chapter in, was it November or December, and this felt a lot like Shauna McGuire's Toby Day series, which I absolutely love. The audiobooks for these are Audible originals, so I might have to read this physically, which has been a challenge, but we're going to give that a shot as well. But this sounds like a lot of fun. I'm really excited for it, and this will fulfill the prompt. I was really excited when I saw there was a cryptid prompt because I knew this was on my TBR and would fit perfectly. The next prompt is Beware La Llorona, to read a book about spooks, legends, and hauntings, and for this I'm going to choose The Hunting Moon by Susan Dennard. This is the second book in the Luminary series, and this has to do with all sorts of spooky, scary monsters in a spooky, scary forest, and as well as Winnie. The first book I read this month in December, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm definitely excited to move on to this second book, and it will fit the prompt perfectly again. So I had been following the blue path on this adventure, and now I'm following the green one. I'm splitting off to go into the forest, and I have to choose an adventure, and then it says outdoor in parentheses. So I'm going to choose Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. I believe I have read this previously, and It is an adventure. We go through doors. We go outdoors. We go out of this world through doors. I'm trying to make a pun here and I'm not sure it's working. But anyway, I have read this previously, but I remember like absolutely nothing about this book. So I have been wanting to read this series for a while, and it seemed like a fun way to kick off my reading year by reading some of these little novellas as well. I have the first 2 books in my collection, and now I am just realizing that I'm reading 2 Seanan McGuire series starters in this month. But that'll be fine. I love Seanan McGuire. Anyway, I can't wait to reread this. I'm excited to try it again and start the series over. Last prompt on the trail map is a purple one for me, and it is The Enchanted Forest, to read something that was magical realism or fantasy, and I have chosen Forged by Magic by Jenna Wolfhart, and this is a fantasy. It seems like a cozy fantasy romance type book. I really don't know that much about it, actually. I bought this earlier in 2023 when I was going through my like cozy fantasy phase. I had just finished The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I wanted more cozy all the time. And then I bought 3 or 4 and I haven't read any of them. So I'm putting this on the TBR in order to read it. Seems like fun. It seems like it'll be a nice read for like when I work on a campus, and when we go back to school I'm extremely tired all the time because it gets really intense for a couple of weeks there. So this seems like it'll be something that I can kind of turn off my brain and enjoy, so I'm excited for that. Then that is the TBRathon portion of the TBR. Then I have 3 books that I'm hoping to read in January that are part of a project that I'm not going to tell you about, so those are also hanging out here. And then I also have some book clubs, read-along, buddy read things that I want to read as well. So the first is the B&K Book Club pick, and that is The Engagement Game by Darby Kane, I think. I will put the cover here. This is also something that is on my holds from the library list right now, so I will show you that as well. These are things that could pop up possibly if the library hold comes in. They range from like 2 weeks to 10 weeks depending on when I place them and how popular they are. I also have a buddy read of Protect the Prince, probably coming in January, by Jennifer Estep. A friend of mine and I are reading through this series so that we can read the sequel series sometime this year as well. So this is a buddy read that's going to be happening. I also have Silent Blade and Silver Shark by Leandra Andrews on this TBR because I would like to read them in time for the live show that's going to be over on Steph's channel with the Leandra Andrews read along that she and a bunch of other creators have been doing over the past couple of years. I love these live shows, and I haven't read these Leandra Andrews books yet, so I'd like to read them in time so that I can kind of hear everybody's thoughts on them. Then the last thing I have here is The Foxhole Court by Nora Sakovic, and this is actually just a random thing I want to read. This is a series that I started a couple of years ago, and I recently realized that I never continued it, so I borrowed the audiobooks from the library recently, and I am gonna try to fit this in over the next few months. So I'm rereading book 1 in order to jump into the next 2 books. This is the story of a lacrosse team who is pretty down and out on their luck. They have a lot of talent, but I think they also have a lot of personal problems. I know they have a lot of personal problems. I remember that from this first book. And there is a new, I'm not gonna remember his name, Neil recently joined the team, but Neil has a lot of secrets and the team doesn't like secrets, so they are trying to figure out what's going on with him. This is pretty dark, but I really enjoyed this first book and I'm excited to see where we go. So that is my TBR, my hopefuls for January. It's pretty ambitious for me considering I've only been reading 9 or 10 books a month, and I think this is like 12. But I'm excited for all of this. There's a lot of good energy going into 2024, and I'm really excited to kick off all my goals. Like I said, if you are interested in the TBRathon, check out Leandra down below. There is very fun merch for it. This is not necessarily branded for the readathon, but it fits my aesthetic and it fits my life. So my TBR definitely owns me. And that is everything for me today. If you have any thoughts or feelings or want to share anything about the books that I talked about today, please let me know down below. You can also like and subscribe down there. If you aren't feeling chatty and you just want to leave me a book emoji for the TBR, you can do that as well. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!